Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Extra Ups with Adrianelle and Grace Turner. And today's episode, we have a few things to cover and we'll just get right into it. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we first wanted to address some safety concerns that we have gotten since being in Peru and with recent events that have taken place within Lima. So last Thursday, I guess even before that, like before we came to Peru, there was some civil unrest, which we had kind of mentioned in prior videos, but it was all in like other cities not close to Lima.
Yeah, like close to like Machu Picchu, like Cusco area.
Yeah. So not close to us. And when we talked with our agent and the managers, they said, like everything's going fine in Lima, everything is normal and operating as normal. But the league had canceled some games in December and even postponed like the start in January. So we were under the impression, things were settling down, which they were for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But then last week we got like emails from the embassy and our game started getting canceled. And at first we didn't know why they were canceled. They just said like, oh, the game on Sunday's canceled. We're going to have a scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
We were like,
okay, like whatever.
Cool. And then some of our teammates started to tell us like, hey, the protesters are moving like to Lima. And that's kind of what the email had said as well. Like, make sure you stay in a safe place. Like you're not going out into the crowds. Don't interact with the protesters, anything like that. Don't put yourself in harm's way. But obviously it's a little like nerve wracking to hear like all these protests and riots are coming to the city that we're living in. And we don't know like the area. We don't
have family. We don't have we didn't know like if there's going to be extra protection in the club. Like there's already like a pretty secure place, but we didn't know if they were going to bring like other people to like help, which they ended up doing. But at the time we were kind of like, oh my god, like are they going to come to Lima? Because Regatas is a pretty like well-off club,
and that's what they kept. Our athletic trainer like kept telling us. She's like, they are trying to come to like the richer parts of the area to like prove their point. Like that's how you're gonna get across to the people is if you mess with people with the money. And we're sitting here like,
we're just here to play volleyball, you guys. Like we promise we'll be fine. But
like please don't do anything to us.
Yeah.
But Thursday night was when things kind of were like really bad because that's when they're like, up to 10,000 protesters could be in the city. Stay in your door, and our teammates are like, stay in the room, lock the door, don't leave.
And to us, like, we're kind of like, oh my god, like, are they going to like come into our rooms? Like, are they going to come to the club? Like, how are they going to get in? Like, we have nothing to defend ourselves of. And
because there's there's the front gate that like shuts, and there's like officers and stuff that like stand out there. But obviously, you hear 10,000 people, and if they really wanted to, depending on what security looked like, we were like, are they going to be like coming into the club and like, destroying things or like coming and finding us in our rooms? Like, and again, we just kind of felt like sitting ducks of like, someone help us.
Yeah, we had like, no clue.
No idea. And we're just in our little like dorm rooms. So
yeah, and we weren't getting like any help from, some of the higher ups. And so we kind of were just basing it off of like
the news.
The news from what our like other like dorm hallmates were telling us. Some of the rowers and basketball players like had on the TV out, which I didn't even know the TV worked, but that's fine. And it was like on the news and there was like fires and stuff. And I like kind of walked in. I was like, is this like what's going on now? And they were like, yeah, like, and we kind of were like, well, and they're natives of Lima. And we were kind of like, oh, like, how is this gonna like, facilitate? Like, is it going to like fuse down? Like, what's, is this the climax of it all? And they were like, no, like, like we're gonna be fine, but like right now it's just bad. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to sleep because and you can hear like the military cars at night rolling in. And so
any car that I heard drove by, I was like, please don't come over here. Like, go the other way.
And it was interesting though too, because so this was on Thursday night and we were supposed to have a scrimmage on Friday. And we had some of the girls talking to the coaches and was like, hey, like I don't think that we should play on Friday. Like have a scrimmage, like, if we're driving, a lot of the protesters, what they did is they threw rocks on the streets, so that like in boulders and stuff, so you can't drive through, which you
Yeah.
know inhibits you.
And they would throw
crossing.
rocks like at moving cars
Yeah.
and stuff.
And
so they
so-
were worried about like
Yeah,
safety of getting
which is
home.
very fair. I mean, obviously, you know, you have protesters moving in, you have girls coming in from like 45, 50 minutes away, so they're using these roads, and so there was a lot of concern with that. And then also just our girls were also trying to, you know, be good for the other team too, because they're coming from a different part of Lima as well. So it's like, how do we like make sure that everybody's safe? But
Yeah.
we've reached out to like the club director, we've reached out to our agents,
Yeah.
and one of the directors got her husband on the line and was like, hey, he's like in Lima where it's all happening. Essentially, there wasn't as many protesters as they thought.
Yeah, they originally thought there was gonna be like triple, quadruple the amount of people that actually did come. So I mean, I guess that's good. Like it is good that there wasn't that many people, but also kind of concerning that there was an expectation of that many people coming.
Yeah.
Because that's still very terrifying. Because even just the amount of people that did come, we were kind of like, is season going to be canceled? Because nobody could give us like a definitive, like, hey, in a week, everything will be back to normal. Or like in 2 days, they'll all be gone. They'll say their piece and leave. No one was giving us answers.
And we're still
like,
reading.
and nobody was telling us anything. And we're like, okay, so what's the deal here? Like, are we still playing? Are we not playing?
Because
Or is it safe to keep playing? Because we have to drive like a 45-minute drive to our arena.
And that also directly impacts us because
Yeah.
then we have to find a flight home, we have to pack up all of our things, we have like
Is
we
it
have
safe?
family coming. So
Yeah.
that like it, not that it impacts us more, but we have more things to figure out than being able to just go home to our families that live an hour away.
And trying to like tell our families back home who are hours and hours and like whole plane rides away, like what's going on is obviously concerning because we're not in like our home country. Like we don't know the rules, the laws, like
we can't understand the news.
Yeah, we're watching the news and we just see fire and we're like, oh, okay, please don't come near us. So it was definitely a very worrisome night. Like I did not eat my dinner and was very paranoid. Like anytime I heard a car driving by or like any little thing, I was like so paranoid because also our teammates were like giving us worst case scenario. So they'd be like, there might be people like throwing rocks down at the club or like, you know, lock your door, like put something in front of your door and all this stuff. And like, again, like we said, we didn't know if people were actually going to be like in here, like pounding on our doors.
And this is all pretty much like word of mouth. And so it's not like, we didn't know what was like true and what was not true. So we were kind of just bracing for, you know, we were bracing for like, if like people were to storm into the club, like how do we protect ourselves? Like that was kind of like our first thing is like, and then the next thing was, is like, what do we do if we need to leave? Like, what if they tell us like we need to get out of here? Do we like have to book our own flights and then, you know, reimbursements or stuff like that? Like we were like thinking through contracts and we were kind of like, well, what does it say about like, because you never like, you don't think about it.
Yeah, because at the time that we like signed and like when we first came down here, everything had been fine and normal and nobody was even talking about it. Like we'd get emails from the embassy saying like, you know, things over in this city or this province or whatever are still not great, but Lima was perfectly fine. And from what our director's like husband said, he was kind of telling us that basically everyone in Lima was against what the protesters were like protesting and like raising their voice for. So like they weren't going to get a lot of support from the city and it should be gone in a few days. So that was Thursday night. And then like Friday, the club was pretty empty.
Yeah.
Which was weird because normally by 9 o'clock, the beaches are packed, kids are running everywhere. And we went down to get breakfast eventually. I don't think I left to get breakfast until like 11:30 or 12 because I'd slept in.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to my mom on the phone.
I had gone down first because I like woke up and I was like, all right, I guess it's time to start my day. And we had been texting in the chat with Z and everyone, you guys are like, is everything like okay down there? Like I haven't gone down yet. Like I'm just looking through the window.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm
window.
finishing my breakfast. It's fine.
Yeah, because I looked through my window and people were coming into the club like normal, and I was like, okay, like
so I was like, there's not a lot of people here, but and I guess also it was like, not that like Friday mornings like usually it's packed, but like, I mean there was a reason to not leave because now the roads had been impacted and stuff.
Yeah, and then we had our scrimmage Friday night. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But then by Saturday, like everything at the club is completely back to normal.
Yeah.
Plenty of people.
I mean, there were people going out, like even on like Saturday night on Sunday, there was like we had heard some like of our friends like we're going out and like having fun. I was like, you can't pay me enough to go out right now. I was like, I'm gonna stay here. And I finished Pirates of the Caribbean, all of the movies. Yeah. During that time, which was
we played Uno Saturday night.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Just trying to find like simple ways to entertain ourselves and also keep our mind off of everything going on. But yeah, we were not leaving. That was definitely not gonna happen.
And we were advised not to. I mean, it probably by the looks of it was safe, but it was a safe bet to stay inside. Like it would like
because part of the places that they were like demonstrating, protesting, whatever, were like in areas that are normally considered more safe because again of the like money and whatever. So yeah, there was no way that we were going out, and all of our teammates were like, "Don't go out." So
we were like, "You don't have to tell us.
Don't have to tell us twice. We will stay right here." But then now everything is pretty much normal. Haven't really gotten any more emails from the embassy. We did get one. I think it was on Monday that they were like anticipating another small like protest, but nothing to the magnitude that it was or like the severity of the first one.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then we got official word from like the league and our coaches and everything that like games are back on. So technically our second game is scheduled for Saturday.
Yeah.
So should be back to a normal schedule volleyball wise with matches. We've been practicing. We had the weekend off, but then we practiced like through the week, game Saturday. But yeah, we had a whole another weekend off this past weekend. So we've gotten very lucky.
Needed, I guess. Like just with all the stress and you know, like us, I mean, like I called my parents when they were on vacation and I was like, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. And they were kind of like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen? So it was a good restful weekend for us.
And very nice to see that like within the club everything was normal. And again, we can't really speak for like what's going on outside of the club because we haven't gone outside of the club, but everything within here has been going smoothly and so far so good with all of that stuff, which is obviously a big relief for us and our families back home. So
and for our teammates too, just with like them getting to and from, because most of them don't live close. It has to be like a 45-minute to an hour drive most times.
But on the safety front, all that was good, been taken care of. So we're back to our normal routines. So going back to the scrimmage that we had on Friday, it was against a team that will play like during our league, and again they had like maybe one girl that was like 6'3", and everyone else was like 5'11". 5'10".
And she was good. I mean,
it's just funny because again we're so used to seeing like huge massive teams and
like on average 6'4". I'm like,
but they were a good little team and we played 4 sets. We played 4.
So we
because technically we tied, but you know the lineups and stuff we're all just kind of getting mixed up.
I think everybody got in at some point, and then they decided to like rest some of the starters and then like put other people in. So I mean there was never, I think it was more of just like getting in touches and like actual play.
Because we hadn't played at that point for like over a week. So overall went good. Still like figuring out what the expectation is, I guess, or like what the opponents play, like the play style. Because it's just so different than the US and it's college.
It's kind of cool because I was like sitting on the sideline like talking to some of the girls on the team, and they were like, you're gonna see that like most teams that we're gonna play have better like defense. Like, you know, usually like in the States you have good offense and defense, like you practice and train both, but there's some teams in our league that just like solely depend on their defense that are gonna win them games. And that's what, you know, Julia was saying about the team that we played on Friday is, you know, they don't have a good offense, they don't have big arms, they don't have big players, but their defense is gonna like tire us out until we start making the mistakes. So that's kind of what, like, even in our first game is what you're gonna see is like you're gonna see smaller people, but they're scrappy as hell and they're just like gonna pick it up. So like that's frustrating to us.
Definitely.
Which is like, again, very, obviously for as attackers, we're kind of like, we hate that.
Oh yeah, because
But
there were some hits I was like, oh, that was a good swing, and then they somehow got it up, and then the second person like kicked it with their foot, and then they score. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I thought I had a nice little kill there.
yeah. So you kind of can't go into any game like depending on like no matter how like big or strong or tall they are, is because like they're gonna be good at defense and they're gonna give you a run for your money.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes. But we're excited for our game on Saturday. We also just found out that we have another friend from Cincinnati who's playing for a different team in Peru.
Yeah, Danielle Mahaffey. So maybe we'll reach out to her and like do like a Zoom call with her.
Which is so cool to like find out like represented by like the same like agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so obviously like when everything was happening, we reached out to her and be like, hey, like you doing all right?
Yeah.
But we'll get to see her at some point in
Yeah, I think we play them in like February, sometime in February. So that'll be really cool. And yeah, again, just kind of really neat that Cincinnati now has like 3 people.
All from like very
like
close areas.
Yeah, playing within Peru. And Cincinnati has a lot of good volleyball to begin with. So
best volleyball actually.
So there's lots of people from Cincinnati going to play at top colleges and pro.
Yeah.
But it is really cool to like actually know them and to be, across the way from each other.
Also, the coolest thing happened on Sunday for Adrian and I. Well, maybe more for me.
Oh, and I was like, where are you going with this? No, this is actually so nice because this has been a struggle the whole month we've been here. Because in Peru, the like TVs, I mean, I haven't figured out how to make my TV work. But even on my laptop, like streaming games or like even Netflix is different. Like I have The Office available on Netflix, which is not available in the US. So that's great. But like trying to watch games or like keep up with things has been extremely difficult until
we were having a beach day on Sunday. And I was like, I need to go fill up my water. I'm severely dehydrated. So I go to fill up my water and I like see that the TV on one of like the local restaurant, like small restaurants is on. It's a restaurant right outside of our dorm and they have like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
It's a really cute little shop. And so I'm walking past to go fill my water and I see that like I hear the TV on, I see that it's on, but I'm kind of like, okay, like whatever. Like it's probably like.
And we're so used to hearing Spanish that we almost like tune it out.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know what they're saying.
And so I walk by it, but then I hear like English and I was like, what are they playing? And mind you, the Bengals were playing Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of like, oh, like we knew that the game was on, but we were just keeping up with live stats.
Yeah.
And so I walked by and then I like kind of like reversed a little bit and turned to the screen and they were playing the Bengals game. And I was like, oh my God.
Grace might have been like sprinting to me on the beach. And she's like, Adrian, they have the Bengals game on. And I was like, where? Like, what do you... And then I was like, it's probably in Spanish. So like, we'll watch it. But I'm like, we're not gonna understand anything.
It's in English. Like the announcers, they like talking in English. But when I tell you, I hit the beach and I ran. I was like,
and we packed up our stuff so quick.
Yeah.
Go popped a spot over there at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And Grace was like, I'll be right back. And I was like, oh gosh, I know exactly where you're going and what you're doing.
And I come back down in my Joe Burrow jersey and we're just sitting there watching the game and it was good because it was still like the first.
Yeah, it was like the end of the first quarter or something. So we got to watch a majority of the game. And it was just so nice because there were other people that would come up and kind of like look at the screen and then like walk away. And Grace, meanwhile, is like in her decked out Bengals jersey apparel. And we was going like crazy anytime they get a touchdown or like any stop on defense. And it was just like, very fun.
And it's funny because all the other like the young like athletes here are wearing like soccer jerseys. So you see like a lot of like Messi and Argentina jerseys, and then there's like me and like a Cincinnati Bengals jersey, and everybody's kind of like looking to be like, what is this? And we had people asking like, what is this? I had some girl I went up to like order ice cream and she's like, where are you from? And I was like, Cincinnati, like my team's playing right now.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Which they're kind of like, okay. Like,
yeah, it means nothing to them.
Yeah,
but to us it was the world. So
it was really nice because we just got our ice cream, watched the Bengals game, and then they won. So that was obviously very nice. And it was just kind of a breath of fresh air because we were also like, okay, moving forward, we're gonna come down here and be like,
yeah, so this next
ESPN,
Sunday,
like Bengals game, we need that on.
I was gonna say for the AFC championships, we need to watch them versus the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna be like, who's in charge of the TV? But no,
Yeah,
that was
give
like
us the remote.
yeah, because we always get texts and stuff, and everyone's like, "Are you guys watching the Bengals game?" And like, no, we have nothing. We are not watching anything.
Which, I mean, if you have suggestions on how we could get that on our laptop, that would be appreciated. But now that we know this restaurant has the channels to get football, we're definitely going to be their most loyal customer. Yeah, almost just lost the whole video file that we just recorded, but no worries.
I could talk about the Bengals all day long, so it's not even that is a problem.
Yeah, so we ended off finishing up with the Bengals game, and that'll be our spot from now on Sundays.
Yes, no, they're gonna have,
and for like college basketball season, because March Madness, I don't think I could have gone the full month without being able to watch
anything. Yeah. So, and they have, I think it's like ESPN too. So they should have access to all of that. So we can cheer on our Knowles and Mountaineers and
if they make it to
who's.
Yeah, hopefully you guys make it to the tournament. So
yeah.
Pick it up.
But yes, so now we know that like we have that, and that was just, oh my gosh, I almost was in like tears. I was so happy.
Yeah. Just you enjoyed the little things here.
Yeah. But then that was our Sunday. And then I mean, we started practice. They gave us Tuesday morning off.
That was probably the best music that I ever heard. So normally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have early morning practice, which is basically just Grace getting served at for an hour. And I'm just serving the whole time.
Which, so is Zion.
Yeah, which is fine, but it's also like, why am I up at 7 a.m. to just serve at Grace?
And it's mostly like half throwing, half serving.
Yeah, and it's like butterfly. Like I'm just running in a circle and serving. So I'm getting my cardio in, I guess. But Monday after practice, he comes up and he's like, Tuesday off. And at first I'm like, there's no way you're giving us the full day Tuesday off. We just had the weekend off. Can we please like at least have evening practice, which is crazy to say because at some points we like kind of dread it just because it's practice and it's whatever. But we need something to do. And we just had the whole weekend off. And I was like, the morning off? And he was like, yeah. And so I was like, thank you, please. And he just starts laughing. I was like, I'm gonna sleep. I think I slept until like 10:32. I was so tired.
Yeah, I was pooped.
But then we had practice Tuesday evening, which is fine. So we're just kind of still in the routine, practicing, hanging out during the day.
Yeah, I was like, not much has changed. I mean, we're still, closer to when, our family and friends get to come.
Yes, we're very excited.
Looking forward to that, and then just looking forward to like playing on Saturday because we don't know, like we still barely know like the routine. Like it was wild. But and like if anybody has any like questions and stuff, I know that the safety thing was a big one, but like if you have any questions about like how we find routines or
if you have ideas for what we should do during the day, because I'm trying to work on like obviously like the Excel stuff and social media stuff, but it's kind of hard when it's just like monotonous and I'm overseas, like I'm not back home, so it's kind of hard to find that motivation. Just like being honest and truthful, like it's hard to figure out what to say or do or keep everything going. Like the podcast is obviously a good outlet for us to like talk about things, let everyone know what's going on at home. But if you guys have like things you want us to address, like whether it's about pro volleyball, high school, college, whatever, just to give us more topics to talk about, I guess. And
I think we come from like well-rounded backgrounds, so it's like we've experienced so many different things, and now we're kind of in the same environment where like we're kind of seeing all the elements of like how we went through like hard times or how we went through easy times, like kind of like because like truthfully Adrian and I've never like really played together. We played against each other or like we've seen each other play, so it's like it's fun. Thank God she's here because I don't quite know what I would do.
But it would be so repetitive to not have someone here to like hang out with 24/7. But I will say one thing I found interesting that was just kind of a side like conversation I was having with one of the girls. It was during the scrimmage, and I was talking to her and she was like, so like asking kind of about like playing multiple sports, because I think I was like juggling a volleyball like you would with a soccer ball. She's like, oh, did you play soccer? And I was like, yeah, I played for a handful of years when I was little, like fourth through like sixth grade or something, right before I started playing club volleyball. She's like, oh, like that's so cool that you played multiple sports. And I was kind of like, yeah, like I played a bunch of different sports. And she's like, so just like two, like one.
No.
And I was like, no, because when I was growing up, I would play in the spring was my busiest time because I was on a soccer team, I was doing track, and I was playing softball. So like in the morning, I would go to a track meet, go to like a soccer game, come back, go to like the rest of the track meet and like finish up my other event or something, and then go to softball game and like show up late to a softball game. And that was just a normal like Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
And going to practices like every day of the week. It would be Monday is this, Tuesday is like two practices. Like I went to so many things, and you did too, but like she was just kind of amazed. Like even in college or in high school, I was like, yeah, I played 3 sports for like my first 2 years. She's like, 3? I was like, yeah, like 1 for each season, but I still played volleyball, like club volleyball.
Yeah.
But I think for them, it's so crazy because they specialize so early.
And with the tennis players, we were talking about that too. We got asked to play sand volleyball over the weekend with some like tennis players, and then like one of the guys, like 2 like of the dads or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was telling us that like his son, who how old do we think that
they were? Like probably sophomores in high school is my guess, because they were talking about like in a year or so hoping to get like a college scholarship, and they were kind of asking us about like colleges in the US to a degree, but then they're like, yeah, they train here, and he's like I don't remember what number in like the junior circuit thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that's kind of crazy.
They have their like children come here, so there's like almost like infants, and I'm exaggerating, but like in the weight room we have like
I did not lift for real until college, and there's like probably 8th graders in there lifting
like benching and using the machines and stuff, and like putting on some like real weight. So they take specialization in sport very seriously here. Which, I mean, when you're in the United States and you're a kid, your parents are like just trying to get you out of the house and throwing you in a bunch of different sports. I mean, like Adrian said, she played a handful of them. Like it's almost like everybody did. And you start specializing when you get into
like junior
high, high school, and then you really specialize in college.
Yeah. Because even for me, like I went to a small grade school, and everybody that played like basketball in the fall, we all played volleyball together, and then we all were on the softball team. So like I was with those same group of girls all year. We just played different sports, and some of them played like select soccer, some of them played like select softball. I played volleyball, so we all like had our like favorite sport, but we all played, and we were so competitive with everything.
Yeah,
and that's just it was normal, or like
that's just how you spent.
How I thought it was normal. So coming here and then thinking that playing 2 sports was crazy, I was like, oh, that's not even the half of it. Like I played 4 sports in 1 season.
Yeah, I was gonna say you like would have to have conversations with your coaches at young ages to be like, hey, so I'll have basketball practice like in the afternoon, but then when it comes to 7 o'clock, I have to leave to go to volleyball. And then in the morning, I have a soccer game, but then I'll be back for the 7 p.m. basketball. So it's like,
or even just like with club volleyball tournaments, like if that was your priority, that might mean missing. Like I remember I missed a couple like swim meets in high school. And our swim coach was like, are you sure you can't miss? And I was like, sorry, I'm going to play in volleyball. I am not swimming at 5 in the morning.
Well, that's the issue I have with basketball. It's just like, you're already committed to play volleyball. So like, why do you need to miss? And I was like, and I think this would be a fun topic to talk about, is like how like balancing and playing different sports and then like committing would be really cool, because like there's like students in high school who feel like they have to choose right away. And like we're here to tell you, like you can make it work. Like I mean, I played basketball all throughout high school, like up until my senior year. And then was like, okay, like I'm just gonna go play volleyball, but it's just so uncommon here.
And like one of our teammates, she's not actually from like originally from Peru, and she decided to move from the country, and I'm hoping we're gonna do an interview with her because she was like super excited to like talk with us. But she moved here to focus on, like, she wanted to be a professional volleyball player. She moved here at the age of 10. And thinking about, like, me telling, like, my mom at, like, 10, like, I want to be a pro volleyball player, which to an extent I kind of did because I was like, I really want to do this. But we didn't move anywhere near moving countries.
You didn't go to like a sports academy, like.
And it was still, I played every sport because they wanted me to be, like, my parents wanted me to be well-rounded. I also liked every sport.
Yeah.
Like I actually didn't love volleyball until much later. Like,
welcome to the club.
Yeah.
I thought it was too girly. I was like, I hate volleyball. I think that this is like the worst sport ever.
I just was like, I want to be different. And then everything else, the running picked up, and I was not physical enough to play basketball. So volleyball worked out well for me, which I think I talked about in one of the earlier videos. But like, to move countries at the age of 10 because you want to be a pro volleyball player is wild to me. And then also like to be so locked into only one sport, because she's what, like 20 now?
Yeah, she's 21.
So to be doing just volleyball year round for 11 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time, especially from such a young age. Like obviously when you get to be like an adult, like college, and then you play pro for a really long time, that's one thing. But to be so little and only doing volleyball.
Yeah. And I think that it's like, obviously it's different, but my parents were like, I want you to do, like, you learn so much from each individual sport. And my parents were like, there's some things that volleyball like cannot teach you.
Yeah.
That like swimming can't, or like basketball can't. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I loved playing so many sports, but it was like they were so shocked. I don't know, because it's also like it goes into a little bit of like the schooling and playing a sport. Is that's why like a lot of people go to the U.S. to play like collegiate sports
and to be able to get an education. Yeah, because like over here it's one or the other for the most part, or that's kind of what they make it sound to be like. Yeah, if you want to be a pro athlete, that's awesome. You're going to train all the time
to be a pro athlete. Yeah.
Rather than like, okay, if you want to go to school, you can go to school. If you want to be an athlete, you're an athlete, which is just different than the U.S. And that's why, like, I had girls on my teams at Florida State and at West Virginia that were like, I wanted to prove I could do both. So that's why they came to the U.S.
Yeah, but I think getting Thaisa and Jimena on would be really cool because Jimena works. So
she has an actual job.
Yeah. She works for like a nonprofit, but she works like all the time. She does really well with it. She's super great. And then Thaisa is now thinking, she's like, oh, I think I want to go to the US to play. And so like there's two like totally different backgrounds, or like, you know, the ones that they have that I think would be really cool to get into. So we got to figure that out.
Yeah. But yeah, it is funny because I think part of the reason these conversations came out, like I said, I was juggling the soccer or the volleyball like a soccer ball. But then Grace and I will like shoot the volleyballs like into the
like
carts, like basketball, and they're all kind of like, whoa, and like we'll make a few every once in a while, or like get pretty close. And now the coaches have kind of like joined in, and they'll be like, Adrian, Grace, and they'll like shoot one, and then like we'll shoot one.
One coach bet me 20 soles, but that's like
$5.
$5, yeah. 20 soles, like making a shot, and it was like I was standing on one end line, and the cart was on the other, and I was like, I'm gonna make it. You know, not that my shooting was great in high school, but like for basketball, I was like, I can do it.
Yeah.
And they all like freaked out when I made it. Yeah. And I was like,
it's just not that it's not a big deal, but to us it's just normal, like I said. So it is kind of funny to see them like try new sports to a degree, like throwing the volleyball versus like serving, like volleyball stuff, good. Yeah. Trying to juggle a soccer ball, some of the girls were like kicking it all over the gym, or like shooting the hoops. It's like 5 feet to the right. So it is definitely just an interesting dynamic of like the sports and being exposed to so many different things, which I think, like we said, we're both very grateful to be well-rounded in that area. So
yeah, for certain.
Yeah, but hopefully next week I'll be able to get at least one of them on the podcast and like chat with everybody and share their story, which would be really cool. Because like we said, they have such unique perspectives on life and what they've been through and what their goals are with volleyball and stuff. So yeah, very cool. I think that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.